Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the People Mover Travel YouTube channel. My name is Cheyenne, and I have my two lovely ladies today, Miss Jordan and Miss Arlina, and we are talking about hidden gems of Europe, which is very fun. I don't think we've done a Europe-based destination video on our YouTube channel yet, so I'm excited to kind of start sprinkling some of that in, because if you didn't know, People Mover Travel does book European vacations. We book all kinds of getaways, guided tours, European cruises, land vacations, all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm really excited. We're going to have our ladies share some of their favorite hidden gem destinations and why they think that they're hidden gems. So does either of you have a destination you're dying to start with?
Okay, well, I wanted to talk about two of my favorite places I have ever visited in Spain. So Spain in general, the more popular destinations are either Madrid or Barcelona. But these two, which are not often very, I don't get a lot of quote requests for it. I don't hear a lot of people talking about, I think should be on your list for sure. So the first one is Córdoba. Cordoba is a city that's about an hour train ride away from Madrid. It was just beautiful in general. Like it was this mix of like big city with like the old, European charm. When I went with my family, we ended up going there for a couple of days, and I wish we would have stayed a lot longer because there was so much more to see. But anyway, we spend most of the time, so you can spend almost a whole day in one of the highlights of the city, which is the Mezquita, or it's a mosque, and it's one of the oldest that exists, and it's one of the, I believe, is the most well-preserved mosque in Spain. And you can, like I said, we literally spent a whole day in there, and we could have probably spent more time. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, lots and lots and lots to see. And the surrounding areas, they have these beautiful gardens, and it's just like a very like well-preserved area with so much history. And so I highly, highly recommend stopping by there if you're ever in the area. The other places that we visited that I would also recommend are the Alcázar, which is basically, if you've been to Spain, you know that that's their what they call their castles. So there is a castle that is also, I wouldn't say like it's a full day visit, but it's about a half day visit. It's filled with, again, with beautiful, and in the whole area, the whole city is, it's just gardens and trees, and again, it's very well preserved, lots of history, great place to visit while you're there. There's this big bridge that you can go over and look over the lake that they have. Again, highly, highly recommend that. And then the other place is, again, because I've mentioned there's so much, I guess the city is known for the gardens. It's called Ruta de Patios, which is the route of the patios. And that is also, is basically you just walking through all these like beautiful gardens. And it's very, very highly recommended as well. When I went with my family, we stayed in a hotel that is well known because so basically it's called this is not the name of the hotel, but it is known in Spain as the Hotel Oxidado, which means the rusted hotel, because on the outside, it's literally just panels and panels and panels of rusted metal, and it looks very unassuming and looks like a hotel you do not want to stay at. But then you go inside and it's a five-star hotel. And it's a very, very nice hotel. But again, very walkable to most of the places that I have mentioned. And so I highly recommend it, even though, like I said, if you look it up and you see an image, and maybe we'll put one up here, it looks very unassuming from the outside, and you're like, no. But then you go inside and it's beautiful. And then, of course, like in Spain in general, not just in Córdoba, but in all places, the food was amazing. And you just want to go to all the little hole-in-the-wall places that you see nothing, no big restaurants or anything like that. You'll find good food everywhere in there. Then from there, when we went from Madrid to there, like I said, it's like an hour train ride. And then from Córdoba, we went to probably my favorite place I have ever visited, which is the city of Ronda. And Ronda is about, I think it's about another 2 hours from Córdoba, because it's a total of 4 hours if you went from Madrid by train. And Ronda is like going back in time. Seriously, it's like you're going back to a place that doesn't exist anymore. And so we got there, and the biggest and what you might see in most photos when you look up Ronda is this big stone bridge. It's called the Puente Nuevo, and it has like a huge waterfall in it. It's basically the bridge that divides the city. So part of the city is all white. It's what they call the white city. It's all white houses, and then there's like the newer part of the city. And so that bridge has just been there for centuries and centuries, and it's the highlight of the visit. Some other destinations, and some of them I went to, some of them I haven't, but I definitely want to go back and see some of these within Ronda are the main plaza is the Plaza del Socorro, and that's where you can go and do some shopping, and then there's dining, all kinds of things. That one is like a more modern, on the more modern side of the city. They also have a bull ring. That's not my thing, but like I know if you go to Spain, that's a lot of people want to visit those. They are still active. They are still, you will see bullfighting in those. If that is something that you want to experience, it is said that the one in Ronda is one of the more beautiful ones that you can see. But the place that I went to that I highly, highly recommend that everyone visits if you get there is the Baños Árabes, which means Arab baths. I believe they're the best well-preserved in the whole country of Spain. It didn't take that long. They're not very big. It took about, I want to say maybe like an hour and a half to see the whole area. It's very picturesque. So, you'll spend a lot of time taking pictures. You can see from the baths, you can go on the outside and you can see the big bridge. That is what Ronda is known for. So you spend a lot of time out there. The last thing I wanted to mention too for Ronda was the big church that they have. It's the Church of Santa Maria. Very beautiful. Lots of like stained glass and windows, and very beautiful to visit. It's not very big. It's not like the big cathedrals that Madrid and Barcelona are known for, but it is very much worth a visit. Now, my favorite thing that we did in Ronda was the food. We only went there for a day. I wish we would have stayed for longer, honestly. So, and it's one of those things where like, sometimes when you go on these trips, and this is almost, I want to say 10 years ago that I went here. This is still one of the highlights of the trip that I will always remember. So we went to this, again, little hole in the wall place. And I swear this was someone's apartment. They just used part of it as a restaurant because first of all, we were the only family there. Which we were a little worried, but then it ended up being probably one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. We went in there, you walk, I remember the first floor being walking through the kitchen of this little apartment place. And then the second floor was the place where they had like a tiny, tiny dining room. Sure enough, they have it in the second floor. So you can see some of the views of the city, the waterfall, the bridge. And it was just like, one little lady cooking the meal in the little kitchen that we walked through. I'm assuming they were all family too. It literally ended up being one of the best meals and one of the best times. We were probably eating at that restaurant for maybe like, I'm not kidding, like 3 hours we were sitting there, just like having some wine, eating our food. Everything was being made to order. It was just amazing. I will never forget that. And I highly, highly recommend everyone visits if you can. It is said that it is one of the more popular destinations within Spain. But when we went, I swear we were the only people there. I didn't even think that people lived there. It was so quiet, except for, obviously we had like an Uber driver take us, everywhere. That was it. So I don't know. It might be like during high season that it's more popular. Although when we went during what is our spring break, but for them in Spain, high season is close to Holy Week. So our spring break wasn't that far off from that. So I don't know. I didn't see a lot of people. But they say it's one of the more popular destinations. For good reason. I highly recommend you get there. Like I said, it's about a 4-hour train ride from Madrid if you can get there. If not, you can go over to Córdoba and take a 1-hour train ride and you'll be right there. I would definitely have done like at least an overnight because I know there was a lot more to see, a lot more to explore, but you can definitely like if you have time constraints, you can definitely do it in one day. So yeah, and those are my two.
You do the little Arlina tour. You go to Madrid, you go down, you do the whole little circle.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's what we did.
We even took a travel agent to plan an itinerary while on a video call. You just planned everyone's next Spain vacation,
Yes, yes.
I love that. I feel like Spain is one of the destinations when I get quote requests for it, it's always for the big cities. I never have people asking for anything else other than like Barcelona and Madrid. So it's
Yes.
nice, like, and we know that they're out there, but it's nice to have, just some names so that when you're looking, you're like, oh, I remember that. That's a good place to make the effort to go to. Because sometimes it is an effort, but worth it.
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean, like I said, with this one, it's just like you can definitely just get on a train ride. And I know some of the other ones are more difficult to get. Some of the other little towns are a little more difficult to get to. And of course, it's always nice to see it. I mean, you want to see the big cities. You want to see Madrid. You want to see Barcelona. You have amazing things to see. But it is like these little like quiet old towns that will definitely like, I don't know. Those are the ones I remember the most.
That's like the magic of Europe. I feel like if you've never been, you want the history and like or if you've been a bunch of times to Europe and you're like, I need something different. I've already been to the big cities. I've done all that. You want something different.
Yes.
You need in someone's apartment and you never know.
No, for real. I know. It was, I'm not kidding when I said it was probably some of the best food I've ever had.
Oh, the best.
Yes.
All right, Jordan, what you got for us?
Well, my two destinations are not super similar. I picked two kind of different locations. My first one you're most likely going to have heard of is Zurich, Switzerland. And I feel like you're going to be like, that's not really a hidden gem. That's a capital city. It was just really not on my radar. And I feel like Switzerland as a whole really snuck up on me as like a beautiful place that I will maybe retire to someday. So we planned a trip. We went to Oktoberfest in Munich a couple years ago with some friends. And while we were there, or while we were planning the trip, I was like, okay, Munich is in like Southeast Germany. What else can we add on to this trip that's like not too far away, easy to get to by train? Zurich popped up as like a 3-hour direct train ride. And I was like, okay, sure. Switzerland seems cool. Let's check it out. And now here I am planning my retirement. So Zurich as a capital city has a way different feel than any other capital city you've been to in Europe. It's a lot smaller, very walkable. Like you can go top to bottom in about an hour. It's only like a 20-minute train ride or car ride to the airport. So it's just like all very compact. First of all, it's a great base for exploring other parts of Switzerland as well. But the city itself will just like stun you with how absolutely gorgeous it is. And I was listening to Arlina talk about her cities, and she keeps mentioning beauty and food. And I think that's going to be the theme of this little episode of People Movers Talk About Travel, because that's like my favorite part of Europe is like seeing the gorgeous architecture, which we don't really have in America. Everything here is only like a couple hundred years old in terms of like building structures. And then the food just like knocks your socks off. For me, I was just not prepared for like there's a river that runs directly through the middle of Zurich. You can walk along this like bridge path for like miles and miles, it seems like, and it's just like stunning marble like buildings and like flooring everywhere, even outside. And I was just like, this looks like an expensive city. And I'm pretty sure it is one of the most expensive cities to live in the US. But I was just like blown away by how easy it felt to be there. You could just kind of like relax and not like worry about life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt like in terms of S tier attractions, like, you don't have like the big cathedrals or like the Eiffel Tower and stuff like that. But there's definitely still some structured things you can do there if you want to. Like the Lindt Home of Chocolate is there. And chocolate was a big thing for us while we were in Switzerland. So actually on our last day in Zurich, we did like a self-guided chocolate tour where I just pulled up Google Maps and found different chocolatiers around the city. And we like stopped in each one. Actually, I found a blog post online that talked about the history of some of them too. And so we got like little fun facts about each one. One of them had this giant wall that was just like a fondue chocolate waterfall, basically. And I was so very much in heaven. The best hot chocolate I've ever had was from Zurich. And the chocolate situation there.
You sent me some chocolate. You sent me some chocolate, and it was. It's like, it tastes like milk, like actual milk, but like in a good way. It's so creamy.
Yeah. It makes you wonder like what the chocolate you've been eating your whole life has actually been.
Crapola.
Yeah. Chocolate and then cheese is another big one for Switzerland. Fondue in particular is like, you can find a fondue cafe all over anywhere in the city. And that was a must-do priority for me. You can also do it like along the Riverwalk. They have these little cafes, and you can just like get set up on an outdoor patio overlooking the river and dunking your bread and your cheese. Like, tell me that's not the vibe that everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel like, I mean, like I said, there's not a ton of like big ticket attractions in the city, which is why it's a great base for exploring other parts of Switzerland. Like just 40 minutes down, like southwest-ish of Zurich, you can get to Lucerne, which is another culture forward city located on the river. You can do a lot of the same stuff in Lucerne, but it's just kind of like a slightly different situation with like some mountains and beautiful hotels like up in the hills overlooking the water and stuff. So we explored Lucerne one day. We did a hike one day that was like out in the middle of nowhere. It was the most remote European destination I've ever been to. It was like an hour and a half train ride plus a 30-minute like public bus where, mind you, they did not speak English. We got on the bus and I was like, is this the bus that goes to, I think it was Weisstannen, was the name of the small town we were getting to? And the bus driver's like, and I'm like, oh no. And then there was a very kind gentleman on the bus. He's like, I speak English. I'll translate for you. And I was like, bless you. Thank you so very much. And it was the right bus. But like, it's just a surreal experience being in a city where you don't speak the language and like, but you can still explore it. Like there, it's still like an attainable goal to like explore different areas that are way far outside your comfort zone. The views are just stunning. The water in Switzerland is like the bluest, most crystal clear water I've ever seen in my life. Shockingly blue. The mountains are strikingly green. I've got lots of pictures. I will, hopefully you're viewing them now. Like very, very stunning, picturesque place that I will someday probably hopefully die in. Switching gears. So my other place that was a surprise for me is Lucca, Italy. And I don't know if people will have heard of that or not. It is in the Tuscany region. And it was not personally on my radar, but I took a mother-daughter trip to Italy, to Tuscany with my mama back in 2019, right before the pandemic hit. I was glad we got like a good one in right before everything shut down. So we stayed in like a really small town right in the middle of Tuscany called Montecatini Terme. And we had a rental car and we're just kind of like bopping around to different places. So one day we booked tickets to go up in the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And then my mom booked this like bikes and bikes tour in Lucca. And I was like, okay, well, I've always wanted to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So we're doing that in the morning. And honestly, underwhelming. Not impressed, actually. Like, I don't know. Arlene, you've been to Italy. Did you go to the Pisa? Did you feel the same?
Yeah, it was okay. Like, you could see it, and I'm glad I saw it, but then, yeah, it wasn't like, yeah.
Well, and there's nothing around it. Like, there's a bunch of, like, tourist trap t-shirt tent stalls, and there's, like, no piazza nearby, like, no city to explore. It's just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And so a bunch of people come to me and they're like, I got to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I'm like, could I interest you in Lucca instead? So it's like just up the road, 30 minutes north. You can definitely get there by train. Like if you're staying in Florence, I think it's like an hour-ish train ride to get out there. One of the coolest cities that I have ever been to. So first of all, it dates back to like 180 BC and was founded as like a Roman colony. So very historic place. But in like the 16th century, I think, they built these walls around the city. So it's this like gorgeous Renaissance walls that make the whole city look kind of like a fortress, I think to protect from like invaders basically. But the walls are so large that you can actually ride bikes through them, which is why we did this bike tour, because you can almost use it as like a little interstate to get like to different parts of the city. And the walls are like fully enclosed. So you're like biking through these tunnels around the city. And as soon as we went into one, I was like, where am I? This is like the coolest thing. And of course, the tour was sprinkled with like, wine and cheese there and like popping in a local grocery shop on the other side of town and all this cool stuff. So anyway, it was just like fully not on my radar to absolutely love this city, but it was so charming. They also have a great little center of town piazza that's this like oval shape, which is kind of interesting. I feel like a lot of piazzas are like square shaped, but they've got like a bunch of buildings that kind of make it almost arena style, which was cool. and they had tons of shopping. I felt like we started shopping after the tour and it was getting dark. My mom's like, well, we got to head back. And like, do we? Do we have to go?
Right.
So I don't know, just stunning from top to bottom. I think that that's another place that I could potentially live and just be like happy, culture forward, vibing all the time, you know?
With your cheese on your bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Living the dream.
Well, and the fact that like Lucca's in Tuscany, right? And so like you get the good wine, you get the good architecture, and then like good food is literally abundant in Italy. So, you know, just stunning. Like in the same trip, we went out to Cinque Terre as well, which is another like absolutely stunning place to visit. The 5 towns that are incorporated into Cinque Terre are some of the most beautiful, picturesque towns I've ever seen in my life, with like pastel colors and like striking drop-off cliffs. It seems otherworldly, personal. But I didn't choose Cinque Terre because people have heard of that, and I was like, let's talk about Lucca for a minute. But honestly, all of Italy is just fabulous. So I say, you know, just go spend like a month in Italy, like tour the whole country.
I think
Yes.
that's such a like there's so many places you can get so easily. Like no matter where you go, like yes, you want to see the big cities, but take the time, make the effort, go. And I think having a travel agent is because you wouldn't even know about some of these places if you're just starting to go to Europe, and the experience that you can get in these towns, like you said, you go 30 minutes, you can get this town that's, you know, going to give you a way better experience than going to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. But if you didn't, normally a lot of people probably don't know that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just go take the picture and then go to Lucca.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's why most people go, right? You want to take the picture with the
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before we wrap up, no, I didn't prepare you guys with this question, but do you have any resources or places that you would like recommend your clients to start looking for any of these like smaller cities? Like, is there any place that you see things pop up and you're like, oh, I'm going to add that to my bucket list?
I mean, other than using a travel agent?
Yes, of course.
I mean, I always am a fan of, and I know Tyler is soon, I think all of us are, the Rick Steves website. I mean, he has a bunch, and I think all of these are mentioned. I'm pretty sure at least the ones I mentioned are in there. That's usually where I go, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I feel like honestly, some of my best ideas have come from some of my clients. I have some very creative clients who come at me with places I've never heard of before. And I'm like, okay, well, bear with me. I will research this for you. But like, I haven't been to it and I haven't heard of it. But like, some of the more interesting ones I've heard from clients have been like a Croatia coastline road trip, which was a cool one that some of my clients did a few years back. And then I planned a road trip last year for some people who started in Slovenia. And then they worked their way into northern Italy, like finishing in Venice, basically. But Slovenia, fully off my radar. If you've never looked it up, absolutely
really
look
cool.
up like Lake Bled, for example. They just have like, it's like cool castles on the lakes and like mountains in the background. It almost reminds me of like Transylvania, like Dracula style stuff, like kind of gothic looking castles, but absolutely stunning architecture. Had no idea. Now it's at like the top of my list. So
I love that. Well, I think all Europe vacations, having a travel agent is so helpful, but especially when you want to visit other cities, because I think the logistics can stop people of like, okay, well, I want to go to here, but how, you know, do I go back to a big city? How do I fly out? Where do I, you know, how do I get train, plane, automobile? How do I get there? So I think, I'm always going to advocate for working with a travel agent, but I think Europe specifically it's a really, really big benefit. Sure. Thanks, ladies, for sharing. I appreciate it. They're all going on my bucket list, but I appreciate you guys joining me. If you want to work with one of our agents, and like I said, we do a huge variety. You can do guided tours in these destinations that'll kind of hit some of these. River cruises is a great way to travel Europe. And then also our piece together itineraries, which I think is where a lot of these small places come into effect, is when we get to have the fun of building these itineraries, these road trips, or all these things. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.